Well, hello, 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 hello. Welcome. It's Leading Ladies, Leaving Legacies, Living Legacies. My name is Joy Ruffin, and I'm coming to you from the Sunshine State, Florida. Every Wednesday night, we come to you with a very special guest, a woman who's going to share with you some tips and tools and some sage advice and counseling on how you can get to be the best that you can be. And tonight, our guest is Guru Simran. And I'm going to invite her over in just a second because she's going to share with you lots of information that I don't care. You know, we're all business people. And no matter what business you're in and what you're doing, we all need to get more into contentment and containment in the highest and the best sense. And that's what she's going to be sharing with us. But before I bring her on, I want to read a little bit about her background. Guru Simran is a certified success coach and business hypnotist who specializes in burnout and depression. As a yoga and meditation teacher for the last 38 years, she has incorporated her extensive knowledge in this field into her coaching practices, which is what we'll be talking a wee bit about tonight. And this gives her clients the fastest route to transformation for the best, allowing them to reach their true potential to experience a more meaningful and fulfilling life. Is that not what we all want? She lives in Jupiter, Florida, here with her husband. So let me bring her over and allow you to say to her, hello and welcome. Hello, Guru Simran. It's so nice to have you here.
Oh, it's wonderful being here. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm delighted that you could be here. I know that you were rushing from a trip to get here, so I'm grateful that you were able to make your connection, have fun with where you were visiting friends, and then to share this time and space with us. Before we go any further, let me ask you, because I'm so bad with pronunciations of names, I want you to pronounce your full name to us, and then we'll go from there, please.
Sure. My full name is Guru Simran Kaur Khalsa. It's a very long name.
It's a very long name, but it's a nice name, pretty name, and it kind of rings and rhymes. Now, I gave a wee bit of a background for you as to your work now, what you're doing, and why you're doing it. But before we go there, share with us a little bit about your background. We don't want the whole backstory, but how did you get to where you are doing what you're doing today and loving it the way that you do? Share with us a little bit about that.
Sure, I'd be happy to. I would go back to the 1970s, and as my son would call it, the dark ages. And if anybody remembers, the 1970s was sort of it had a lot of spiritual paths that were awakening. Yoga was making its scene, and there was sort of a lot of esoteric and self-discovery. It was really coming into its birth in the 1970s, at least for me it was. And so I started to actually practice yoga, and I started to read a lot of different books about mind and depression and meditation. And this led me to go to many different yoga classes, many different types of yoga, even back in the 1970s. And one of the classes was Kundalini Yoga, which I happened to drop in on. And it gave me such an experience of my own inner power and an experience of, let me say, my own sacredness, that I really felt that this was, it fit like a glove. You know how Cinderella tried on the different shoes? This just fit in many aspects of me. It was a very deep and satisfying path that I felt was just brought me a reality of self-acceptance, self-love. At the same time, it gave me inner power. And so I knew then that I wanted to practice it and share it with others.
Oh, I love that. I like the way you put that too, because, I think you're right on point because it was like the late 60s, early 70s that the Beatles came over and they went over to India and the meditation and the yoga. It was in place before that, but I think they really helped to popularize it more than it was at the time. And your timing as far as being captivated by this seems true. Now, did you, your first or second time there feel this inner workings within, or did it take several sessions before you realized that this was something that you really wanted to get more in depth into?
Well, at the time, I was a hatha yoga teacher,
Ah,
and I had been practicing hatha yoga. And when I went to my first, what I call Kundalini yoga, I knew before the class was over that this was something that was far above what I had been experiencing so far on my path, and that this was dynamic and fast and powerful. So it was instant.
now that's interesting because today more than ever, we speak to this, we, meaning most everyone that I speak to daily, we speak to this speed thing. Everything has to be fast. People don't want to make the time to do anything where there's too much involvement. Tell us a little bit about the people, G, that you serve, the people who come to you, why they come to you, and how you serve them now.
I just took a couple of ladies for a what I call a breath walk, and I can explain that a little bit. So both of them had full-time jobs. One of them had a couple of kids and a full-time job, and they ran their own businesses, and they were working at night. As you know, when you have your own business, sometimes you work at night, sometimes you're working while you're brushing your teeth. So I said, and the only reason why they agreed to come with me is because I said, look, I'll teach you how to meditate and walk at the same time. And they said, well, I can do that because I need to walk and get my exercise. So we did that, and they did feel very differently afterwards. For several days, I taught them a meditation and how to walk and breathe at the same time while they were actually repeating what we call a mantra as they were walking. So, you know, when you're walking, you're balancing the brain. When you repeat the mantra, you're balancing the brain. So those two things together has a kind of quadruple effect. So
Oh,
it works. It kills, you know, I hate to say this expression, but it kills two birds with one stone.
I like that. I know exactly why you say that. I I heard what you said and I get it. But how did these two women come to you? How do people come to you and why do they come to you? We know that you're working with burnout and depression,
Yeah.
but not everyone who comes to you maybe is completely burned out and with depression.
No.
So why do people come to you would be the question. The number
Well,
one or two
they,
reasons why.
yeah. Okay. Thank you. They come for any, you know, they come for their own personal reason. Sometimes they're curious, but I find after I've been teaching for, let's say, 38 years now, I think everybody comes for one reason. Underneath it all, they want to connect to who they really are. Yes, they have titles. Yes, they have roles and many hats they play. But they also know that underneath all of that, there is a soul lying patiently waiting for recognition, for a relationship with their soul, their divine nature. That's my experience after teaching hundreds and hundreds of people. The bottom line is they just want to connect to themselves in such a deep level and a satisfying level that it makes everything else in their life make sense.
Oh my goodness. Oh my God, that is so powerful. I don't think I've heard anyone express that as clearly and as succinctly with clarity the way you just did. Because you can put lots of labels, you can string the words together, and you can say it in numerous ways. But
Mm-hmm.
what you just said, that discovery of self, because that personal development, personal growth, getting to know who you are, that gets bigger and bigger each and every year. And maybe it's because we all have access to so much, but not going deep enough inside to know who we
Exactly.
are.
Yes, that's exactly it. You hit the nail right on the head because a lot of people are very attached to their identity being what they do in life.
Yes,
You know, even their label, you know, they label themselves and they equate their label to their self-worth.
yes.
They equate how much money and how big a house they have. And especially, like you said, you know, their career. And this is all part of their journey, yes, and how they serve others, yes. But as you say, go deeper, go deeper. and you find another identity, and that is really your true identity, is just being you. You know, to be a human is to be a light of the mind. And that is all you are. We're all light to light. We're all light of minds. And if we could just be in our light, and when we say, how are you? We're actually asking one light to another, how are you? Not to say that you have to give me your big resume. That's not what I'm asking. I'm just connecting to your divine soul.
Oh,
We're all in the same. We're all walking around with these earth suits,
oh my,
but
my.
we take the earth suits out, and we're all one. And
Yes.
so, how can we just say, look into each other's eyes, and just say, well, what we say is Sat Nam, which means Sat means truth, and Nam means my identity. And so, when you relate to yourself as Sat Nam, you're relating to yourself in your own truth, which is beyond job, beyond title, beyond anything that you're actually doing from 9 to 5. It's the light within that we're relating to.
Oh, just brilliant.
But
Gee,
the thing is, in this world, people don't have time, or they think they don't have time to form a relationship with their soul, because they think that this takes a lot of time. And I'm here to tell you that no, no, no. You can have a relationship, you can connect to an inner self that will change everything in your life 3 minutes a day.
yes. Gee, we have a question from Roz in the audience. Her question is, how do we manage that new self-discovery and remain balanced?
Here's the thing, and you can't buy it, because if you could buy that, I would buy it, right? You can't take a pill for it. You can't buy it. It's called, listen carefully, it's called practice. You have to practice something during the day. Let's use your teeth as an analogy. Do you brush your teeth every day?
Yes.
If you brushed it once a week, how would that work?
Mm,
Not very
I
well,
get it.
right?
I get it.
Practicing to get into this mind, relaxing the mind, and practicing to get beyond the mind into the self is what has to happen for you to be in that experience of yourself. You can't read about it. You can understand it when you read it, but you can't experience it. So it's called practice. And I give students of mine or clients of mine, I can start them with a 3-minute practice every day, which includes breath and some meditation. And meditation always includes a sound current, which is called a mantra. Because what that does, it does several things, but one of the things it does is it stimulates the glandular system in the brain that switches the mindset. So over practice, you start to just like, listen, when you take your first date, you don't know that person very well, right? You take them out for a coffee or dinner and you talk. And the second date, you know each other a little more. And by the 10th date, there might be some love. There might be some understanding, some compassion. And this is what it's like when you practice this self-discovery, or the self-love is what I call it. It's a relationship that you're beginning with your soul. And the way you do it, the way I teach it, is, for me, a way that's fast. It doesn't interrupt your life too much. And it's extremely satisfying.
I like
And
it.
if it isn't satisfying, it might not be for you, but for many people, it speaks to them. They can fit it into their life 3 minutes a day.
Yes. I like what you just said for several reasons, because I'm going to piggyback to the personal growth, personal development, and going within, and why the number one reason you have discovered over the years why people come to you.
Yeah.
One of the things, my upbringing and my growing up was very prevalent in the stratosphere, in the air, is that the more money you had, the happier you were. that you just had to acquire money and riches, whatever that was for you. And now people are discovering it's nice to have money, you have to have it, but you have to go inside because we have seen in our lifetime so many people with tons of money and they're miserable because they've not
Yes.
dwelled deep enough inside to discover that contentment and that vastness that's waiting to come out.
Yes, you are absolutely right, Joy. And another thing that prevents them from experiencing that is um, burnout. Their nervous system is burnt out. Their mind is overloaded with information. And my teacher, Yogi Bhajan, called that cold depression. And he said when the conscious mind gets too many bits of information, of data every day, and doesn't have a practice to release that data through meditation, it gets overloaded. And
Yes,
what happens when the conscious mind gets overloaded? Well, it gets into the subconscious. And what happens when you get overloaded like that is that your system starts to shut down because there's too much. And so you start to become numb and you become almost unfeeling. And you can see that in this day and age when we see something on television or online that is a tragedy. We just kind of like, okay, next, next, next. And it doesn't really go into us because we get so much information, we become desensitized. But then what happens is we become desensitized with our own self. And that's where the problem comes in. That's where the disconnect happens between us and our soul.
gee, that is so deep because as much as we all love technology, and most of us do, I just read the other day that the largest number of suicides is among young people today. And it's because of this desensitizing and this technology where they're glued with all of this information, this data coming in, and they can't process it or they choose not to. So here we are with tons and tons of data that they don't know quite what to do with, and they're on overload. So what you just spoke to comes through again and again. What are some of the, other than the meditation and the yoga, what are some of the other means and ways that you help anyone to get into their vastness, that love and that heart from within, and away from the burnout and the the waste of energy, the
Yeah.
depression?
You know, in my experience, I feel that most people just want to be heard first. You know, this online, this connection of, you know, media, Facebook and all that stuff. It's pretty superficial. I mean, it's fun. You get to know who's done what, but it's, you know, it's superficial and there's not a presence of a human really listening to you with the auric field merging in your auric field, with the heart of the chakra, the heart chakra, zeroing in on your heart chakra. So these kids and that maybe even, not just kids, everyone, you know, we spend a lot of our time. I was at the airport today. Well, you know, it gets a little, it becomes a habit and then it becomes a little bit of an addiction because we never did feel very comfortable looking at strangers in the eyes anyway. So now we don't have to because we've got our phones. But what that does is it takes away the opportunity to connect with somebody. You know, if you can think of the time, I know it's difficult for some young people there, but if you could think of a time before the phones, like 15 years ago or 20 years ago, you know, and you were sitting on a subway or on an airport, you would look at people, they might look at you, you might start a conversation up with somebody on many types of things like that. Well, that is a, you know, that is a connection that you have with another person that is three-dimensional and that is with the heart center and with all of the things that the human being shares with another human being. And it's very different now when they don't do that and they just connect with their friends online in a very superficial way. So this is what lets a person feel very lonely, very empty,
Yes,
and even more reason why you need to practice something every day that fills your heart, but but fills your soul and lets you just fall in love with yourself.
Oh my God.
Because you cannot, excuse me, you cannot love anybody or anything without being in love. And when I say in love, I don't mean I love myself. I mean, in the love that's within me, I recognize and then I share it with other people because I am in the love, in the space of the love. And how do you do that? You open yourself up and you start some of the practices that I teach. It's a process, it's a journey.
I hear two words: process, journey, practice. But you mentioned a word there. Because of my intuitive awareness and knowing, I see it everywhere, G, everywhere. Superficial. People are so caught up into so much that has no value and no meaning. And people are beginning to see now that all of this brand name and the cars and the houses and all of that, yes, you need that, but that's not who you are. And what you spoke to about going to the love within, the love that is within you, and allowing it to flourish, this is what's missing. And that's why these kids and people are so lonely, because of social communication, the
Yeah.
building relationships, the connecting, it's gone. And that's why it's up to you, myself, and others, the old and the new, to have a meeting of the minds. A lot of the old has gone, it's not coming back. A lot of the new we can discard as well. But both are staying, but let's have a meeting of the mind. And it's up to the elders, it always has been, to gather together our young people and have them set on a different path that
Mm-hmm.
leads them to a more glorious, fulfilling life.
Yes. And, instead of making it such a huge, lofty thing, I really start small.
Yes,
Let's just start with your breath and let's just do it for 3 minutes. And it might, you might feel it maybe in a week, you might feel it in a day, but you'll start to say, wow, for the next hour after I finished my little breath exercise, I felt really contained and content.
yes.
And that was what we had mentioned in the earlier part of the show. And it has a lot more to do with, it has more than just the breath, the containment and contentment. But that's the beginning place, because what's happening right now in your body, you're breathing. If you can connect that experience of your breath being a gift from the divine energy, and that gift is self-love, and you can start to focus on that, not all day, although it will become all day, but in the very beginning, just a couple of minutes. I like to start small, baby steps. So
I
people don't feel like, oh my God, I don't even understand what she's saying. Forget it. Next.
everything, my love, starts with baby steps.
Baby steps. And that's what I'm
Everything.
very,
And
that's what I love to do,
but
baby
today
steps.
I volunteer with these young girls and they want success overnight because that's what they think, because of the speedy thing. They
Mhm.
think that everything just boom, everything takes time. I am so honored to have you here, Chief, because first off, my head, my heart, my mind, my soul connects with your journey and what you're
Yeah.
about,
Mhm.
because I know the value of it. I've spent all of my life, and I will continue until I leave this planet this time around, to study, get to know me so that I can give it back out. So I'm honored. Tell me, what are you working on? What's coming up next for you? By the way, all of your links, your website, which you said will be
Mhm.
ready in a couple of weeks,
Yeah.
will go up. And all the ways and means that people can connect with you will go up on the website. I'll have that over to you within 24, 48 hours. And then in turn, people can connect with you. But what is something that you're working on now that you're looking forward to getting out into the universe here soon? Is there anything?
Soon is the operative word there. I am working on my website as we speak, and I'm going to have online training on my online training, where I can teach people little. They can click onto a video and learn how to breathe. They can click onto a video and learn how to use a mantra for 3 minutes a day to neutralize their mind. And they can use the mantra to get rid of the negative mindset or the negative uh, self-talk.
Yeah.
So these are things that I'm going to have available. I'm just in, like, I'm building the website right now, so it's not ready yet. Anybody can feel free to contact me through my email, and I also have Zoom. If you want to contact me through my email, I can have a Zoom session with you, a coaching session. There's that, and then I am in Jupiter, and I'm also teaching at several places. But
all right, I will have all of your clickable links on the
okay,
website, and I will have your email as well because I have your permission to do that. And
yes,
on your website, you have a URL. So we will just put there, we'll be up and running within the next 2 weeks so that
yes,
you can get there and click and see that you are there. I think it's more than needed what you're about and what you're doing. I think all of us need to continually check into that vastness that is within.
mm,
And we all get a little bit of burnout, a little bit of this, that, of the other. And it's good to have an avenue that we can explore that helps us to get back on track. So I honor
absolutely.
what you're doing. I really do. And I'm grateful that you were able to spend this time with us. I really am. Is there any question or anything that you want to share before we say goodnight for now? So long for now? Is there anything that I didn't touch upon? I know there's so much to cover, G, but is there any one thing in particular that you want to leave the audience with before we say so long for now?
I think people are searching for something that's more complicated than it actually is. And I
Mm.
think when you can start to just, once again, take a couple of minutes a day to do a few simple exercises that I teach, I think that that actually is like a ripple effect, and it goes out into your life and it changes everything.
I think that's a great way to end it because that you couldn't have said better. Let me say this. I'm going to ask you if you
Mhm.
would just sit to the side for a second or two, and I'm going to say so long to the audience for now, and then I'll get right back and chat with you for just 1 minute. And thank you so
Okay.
much. I'm honored that you were
My pleasure, Joy.
indeed mine. Thank you so much. What can I say? All of us are on a journey. All of us, if we care about ourselves enough, are always constantly open to embracing and bringing into the fold anything that will help us to develop into our best and better selves. Because it is only then, as G said, that we're able to tap within that inner love that's there waiting to come up, explore, and be shared with everyone else. It sounds sometimes a little bit, I don't know, everyone has their verbiage. But the reality is that's fact. We're all here to grow, evolve, develop into our best self, and then to take whatever that journey was all about and give it back out into the stratosphere, the universe, and share it with others. Because we all are here on a mission and we're all here to give. And I love G's expression of how we can all do that. And her work helping all of us to get away from burnout and depression. And the way that she does it is simple, easy, and practice, 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 and we all get there. I know I'm working in that direction. So may I say to you, as I always do, thank you for being here. Thank you for coming. Thank you for showing up. It's always good when you're here. I will ask you to get to Joy's TV and to review all of the other videos that are there and available to you. And G's, I call her G. All of her data and all of her information will be up within the next 24, 48 hours max, and you'll be able to get there and connect with her. And as my momsy would say, that is my prayer. I pray so that you'll be able to do that because you'll never find a more wonderful, easy, completely loving person to share and to exchange with. So, my friends, until the next time, you be and stay well. As we said, take care of you first and then give out to all the rest. And until we connect next Tuesday night at 7 o'clock, have a great weekend and all the best. See you again and soon. Bye for now. Cheers.